Neurolink has some competition in the brain chip space. Synchron is another company here. They're going to be starting or looking to start some brain chip implant trials soon. It's kind of scary stuff. Maybe, if you think so. I kind of think so. I don't know. I don't like the idea of somebody implanting some stuff in my brain. There's already enough weird things in there. I'm going to read this article. This is by Reuters. It says exclusive Synchron, a rival to Musk's Neuralink, readies large-scale brain implant trial. So Synchron Inc., a rival to Elon Musk's Neuralink brain implant startup, is preparing to recruit patients for a large-scale clinical trial required to seek commercial approval for its device, the company's chief executive told Reuters. Synchron on Monday plans to launch an online registry for patients interested in joining the trial, meant to include dozens of participants, and has received interest from about 120 clinical trial centers to help run the study, CEO Thomas Oxley said in an interview. Part of this registry is to start to enable local physicians to speak to patients with motor impairment. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I kind of like that. I'll be honest with you. I kind of like the idea if these implants are going to just help people, with like spinal issues or, motor function issues, things like that. If it's like working with the cerebellum or something like that, instead of like, getting into our brain and getting into our thoughts and all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of a big fan of that. It's near and dear to my heart. My best friend is quadriplegic, so I would love to see this kind of thing happen. So I'm all right. I'm going to do a little 180 on this story. This might be a good thing. There's a lot of interest, so we don't want it to come in a big bottleneck right before the study we'll be doing. New York-based Synchron is farther along in the process of testing its brain implant than Neuralink. Both companies initially aimed to help paralyzed patients type on a computer using devices that interpret brain signals. Okay, yeah, that's part of what they want to do. There's other big parts of what they want to do. They want to connect us with like a web where you're thinking about weird things and I can see your weird things you're thinking about. Synchron received U.S. authorization for preliminary testing in July of 2021 and has implanted its device in 6 patients. Prior testing in 4 patients in Australia showed no serious adverse side effects, the company has reported. I thought it was basically that I was saying 4 out of 6 were fine. That's pretty bad odds. Synchron will be analyzing the U.S. data to prepare for the larger study while awaiting authorization from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to proceed, Oxley said. Synchron and the FDA declined to comment on the expected timing of that decision. The company aims to include patients who are paralyzed due to neurodegenerative disease, ALS, stroke, and multiple sclerosis, Oxley said. Mount Sinai in New York, the University of Buffalo Neurosurgery, and the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center are collaborating on the preliminary study. Synchron said it hopes to involve these centers in the larger trial. Dr. David Lacomas, chief of UPMC's neuromuscular division, said his team is still participating in the preliminary human testing and the study is going well. Students continue to be monitored for safety, and an extensive amount of data are being collected as the brain implant is being used, he said. A much larger pivotal trial is in the planning stages. The Department of Neurosurgery and the Jacobs School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences at the University of Buffalo has 2 patients in the small trial. Having a hard time. I think that eclipse messed with my brain. Our site has enrolled the first and only stroke patient, as we feel this is a significant population that can benefit, said Department Chair Dr. Elad Levy. We are optimistic and excited about the next phases of this technology. I might need it. Holy shit, I might be having a stroke right now. Jeez. Expanding the market. Synchron, whose investors include billionaires Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. Oh, awesome. Of course. Oh, Bill Gates. I'm glad he's involved. That's my favorite. And Neuralink competed in a niche of so-called brain-computer interface, BCI devices. Such devices use electrodes that penetrate the brain or sit on its surface to provide direct communication to computers. No company has received final FDA approval to market a BCI brain implant. Synchron's device is delivered to the brain via the large vein that sits next to the motor cortex in the brain instead of being surgically implanted into the brain cortex like Neuralink's. Neuralink which has mainly announced developments on Musk's social media platform X, did not respond to questions about its clinical trial. The company has so far announced that it has implanted its device in one paralyzed patient. Testing an implant in stroke patients can be particularly challenging, as an individual's brain may be so severely damaged that there isn't sufficient neural signaling to record. The FDA has asked Synchron to screen stroke patients using a non-invasive test to determine whether they would respond to an implant. They want to expand the market to people who have had a stroke severe enough to cause paralysis, because if limited to quadriplegia, the market is way too small to be sustainable. Okay. Kip Ludwig, former program director for the neural engineering at the U.S. National Institutes of Health, said of Synchron. In 2020, Synchron reported that patients in its Australian study could use its first-generation device to type an average of 16 characters per minute. That's better than non-invasive devices that sit atop the head and record the electrical activity of the brain, which have helped people type up to 8 characters per minute, but not the leap forward that is hoped for with an implant, Ludwig said. So, yeah. All right. I'm not going to keep reading this. It's kind of, all right, I think it's done anyway. Yeah. So I kind of retract what I said. I mean, I like the idea that they're going to implant these things to help people with motor function skills or issues. I mean, but I think, again, I'm worried this kind of stuff. This is it's like the entry level stuff. They're going to get it into that. They're going to normalize it. They're going to say, oh, we're using this for that. And then suddenly, then you've got people using it for other things, just I'm not going to say nefarious reasons, but for reasons that are more, what's the word I'm looking for? A little more cavalier, I guess. Like you're just like, oh, now I want to be able to read a book without using my hands to pick it up. I can just read it. I don't know. Weird stuff. Could be the start of a very crazy future with AI and implants in our head. But this is where it begins, folks. So if you got your eyes closed, you're going to miss it.